likes. So I am doing a laundry chat here. I have a big pile of laundry, and I just thought I would answer some of the questions I got on YouTube the other day when I asked for like a quick video idea. Now, I have a day in the life coming that I filmed last Friday, and oh my gosh, day in the life videos take forever to edit. There's a lot of footage there. Probably didn't need to film so much footage. So while I'm trying to edit that down, I wanted to do this for you just as a way to kind of answer some of your questions. So I have some questions here, and we can get started, but I just think this is really funny. My cat keeps taking Jessie tree ornaments off the tree, and first he grabbed the bread basket, and my husband kept joking around saying that you know, you can't get mad at him because he just wants to partake in the Eucharist like we do, you know, like he longs for the bread of life as well. So I put it up higher, and then now he's stealing the chalice, right, the cup of blood. And so my cat, he is blessed. Father blessed him back on the feast day of St. Francis, so perhaps he is like longing. I watched this video the other day of this guy who converted from being like a spiritual person to Christianity. I don't know if he converted to Catholicism or not, but his transformation was really powerful. And one thing he talked about was that when he surrendered to Jesus, he was outside at the time and he heard the crickets worshiping Jesus. It was really cool. So, you know, I am sure that animals on some level understand that God is their creator. So I just thought that was kind of fun. As you know, like there's really no such thing as multitasking. Maybe you don't know that, but I was reading something about, or watching something about the brain, and it was saying that you actually don't multitask, you actually switch back and forth. Your brain's constantly like switching back and forth from one task to another. And so it was talking about how you really wanted to like do one thing at a time, but we're gonna give this a try. And I actually watch these kind of videos too. I love watching, like Love Meg is I think the main person I watch do this, but so shout out to her. If any of you guys like watching Love Meg videos, like her cleaning or her laundry chats or whatever, like let me know, because it's always fun to find fellow fans of things. The first question I got was about our story about getting out of the army and then back in. So I'm going to tell this short story now so I can get to multiple questions. But ultimately what happened was we thought we were just going to do one stint in the army, 3 years, one contract, and then get back out and be and become a police officer. That was our goal. That was one of the many reasons we decided to pursue the military life in the first place. We left at the very end of December of 2016, but his contract was up till February 9th because we had some comp days, so we thought, well, we'll get a job by the end of February, right? We just didn't think anything was going to take as much time as it did, and honestly, his military experience didn't count for anything in the civilian world, which is really messed up. They wouldn't even let him like answer phones. Like it was just job after job was kind of shut to him. And so what ultimately happened was we were trying to settle in Texas. So he went out there, it didn't work, so he came back to Oregon. We lived with my in-laws, like the kids and I ended up living with them for a whole year. He was there for about 6 months, 8 months. So we went back home to Oregon, tried to be a police officer, and ultimately it like wasn't happening as quickly as we had hoped. We got a couple conditional offers, they fell through, and so we started saying like, well, gosh, what if we're not supposed to do this? And the thing about getting back into the army is you have 6 months once you get out to keep your rank. So we were kind of coming up against that. And so I was like, you need to go talk to a recruiter because this isn't working. And like, oh my gosh, like what if we can't, you know, get back in as a E5 he was an E5 at the time. And so he went and talked to them, and then they wouldn't give him military police. It was overpopulated as it is. Ultimately, we're in a different MOS now, and we're in for like career now pretty much because the civilian world, if we go back into the civilian world, I have to work. And it was just one of those things that we had to decide. So ultimately got back in, and we're really happy we did. I mean, obviously military life is hard at times, and you know, we're facing separation next year. So, you know, just army life. But overall, it allows me to homeschool. It allows me to do this, and we're serving our country, which is amazing. And anyway, there's just so many pros. So we're likely in it for the long haul. I mean, who knows? God only knows what is going to happen. And you know what, you guys? I don't plan anymore. After last year and the whole emotional debacle of, not last year, I guess, so almost 2 years ago, right? But that whole situation of trying to find a job for a year and all that kind of stuff, it made me realize that, you know, you really can't plan. You just don't know what the future's going to hold. You can only really kind of figure out your now. So if anyone gets out of the Army, I wish them all the luck, and I hope that the world is open to you and what you have to offer. And I really think that, you know, I have multiple college degrees, but I think that those who don't should still be looked at fairly. Like, it shouldn't just be this blind, oh, you don't have a degree, then you can't do this job. That's my stance on that. So moving on. How do we pick our kids' names? So Chloe we had like 5 boy names. And this was before we were really actively Catholic in terms of, I don't even think I'd ever studied a saint when Chloe was born. And I will make a different video about like kind of my journey to being a more traditional Catholic. But I did want to name her Chloe Elizabeth, because I love the Visitation. I love St. Elizabeth. My heart just always soars whenever I read or whenever I read that passage. And so, or that story. Anyway, so I'm like, we have to pick a girl's name, because we were going to go to the ultrasound to find out. We had all these boys' names, including Neil, and because Neil is a family name. And so anyway, we had to pick. I'm like, we have to find something out, because I want to be able to name our child the minute I find out if it's a boy or girl. And so I just had a list of names, and he went through a list of names, and like, I think Chloe was the first one that we both agreed was pretty. We didn't know any Chloes, so there wasn't any kind of like connotation associated with it. And we're like, okay, let's do it. And I think I looked up the meaning, and it was like, it worked for us. I don't even know what the meaning is. And then the reason her middle name is Megan is because that is my sister's name, and my sister and I actually had a deal. And don't worry, she doesn't watch my stuff, so she won't even know I said this. But we did have a deal, because she didn't want to have to choose, because she was only gonna have one. So she's like, well, if it's girl, I don't want to choose between my mom and my mother-in-law. And so so we decided that we would put our names as each other's girls' middle names. So hence Chloe Megan. Well, then my sister ended up with twin girls, so the whole issue with the mother-in-laws and mother kind of like left, because then, you know, she has 2 girls, and so she made the 2 moms the middle names. So I'm out of that whole loop there. But anyway, I do tell Chloe that originally I really wanted to name her Chloe Elizabeth, because I love St. Elizabeth. She just knows that that's her, kind of the saint that I associate with her. So, and then Neil is named after Brian's grandfather, who he dearly loved and respected, and so hence the name Neil. So he's named after him, and then my dad's name is Michael, and also Saint Michael kind of went together there, and so his name is Neil Michael. So that's what I chosen. And oh my gosh, there was this little boy today, and he was baptized, and his name was Nicholas Patrick. What a strong Christian name. Like, those are 2 of my kids', especially my son's, favorite saints. So there's some homeschooling questions on here, so I'll try to do a couple of those. So it says, what motivates you to keep homeschooling during those difficult times? Well, I'm actually going to come out with a video soon about different philosophies of schooling and kind of where I fall, because honestly, I'm a bit of an unschooler, especially during hard times. So I'm reading the Catholic book, A Little Way of Homeschooling, and it's about Catholic unschoolers, and I highly suggest it if you are unschooling, or you are interested in unschooling and you're Catholic, or if you have a more relaxed approach, or if you just want to know more about stories about people who've done it. My thing with homeschooling is that life is school, and when we go to daily mass at school, when we talk about theology at school, when my kids ask me a story about what kind of bug that is, if we watch a video about the human body, that's school. I mean, it just is all school. And I think there definitely is a place for books, especially living books, but even not. Like, we're reading the story of Columbus right now. And, you know, you asked me that after college, or after high school, I wouldn't have known who Columbus was. Like, I had the worst history education. So the way I see it is my kids are getting a much better education than I had, and a lot of it has nothing to do with textbooks. So what I would say is give yourself permission to step away from any kind of formal schooling and just hang out with your kids. Now, I do have to say, my kids and I are all highly verbal. We don't stop talking. My poor husband, who's an introvert, is surrounded by talkers. We process verbally, like we ask questions verbally, we talk. So we have what you would call like a talking homeschool. It doesn't ever stop. And it's, for the most part, it works out really well for all of us. And so if you're that kind of personality, like, and that's how my dad raised me, like when I was actually like home after school and things, we would just talk like all the time. And sometimes he would make me sit down with like the lyrics to a CD, you know, back in the day of compact discs, and they had the little inserts that had the lyrics. Like, he would make me listen to Meatloaf and Queen and like hand me the lyrics, so I had to like study them. But so that's the kind of stuff that I just kind of naturally do with my kids, is how he raised me to do that kind of thing. So anyway, that would be my advice there. And then someone else asked about like a curriculum update and how to deal with like homeschool questions. So the curriculum update is coming, and oh my gosh, I already have like a history curriculum I want to buy for next year. In that book, there's so many different people in there that you kind of can find a story that relates to you. And so the last one I read was all about like loving curriculum and wanting to buy curriculum, and then kind of like being the like planning unschooler, because like you plan and then they kind of fall away, which I think happens with a lot of homeschools. Like, you have the best of intentions and then life kind of just gets in the way, but your kids still progress. I will say that I don't want to ever like unschool math. I think math kind of just needs to happen. Anyway, so I will share my curriculum update, but really we're not doing a whole lot with curriculum. And then as for homeschool questions, I actually think, well, I do have a whole video on socialization, so I'll put that up there. So if you get like the socialization question, I actually have a whole video about responding to that specifically. But otherwise, you just need to know your whys. You need to know why you're homeschooling. You need to read enough philosophy to be able to back it up. But I know you guys want me to do homeschool videos, and I do want to do more homeschool videos. It's just our homeschool right now looks very much like real life, which is why like I just put a day in the life video. I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to do because it's part of life. My favorite item at Panera. So we don't have a Panera here, but I do. There's a sandwich I really love, and I'm not going to be able to tell you what it was because I haven't been there forever. But and I'll put it in the comments if you guys want to find, or the description box. And then I really love their broth bowl that had like the broccoli in it. That was really good too. John asked Metallica or Megadeath. So I don't even know who Megadeath is, and Metallica, I really only like the one song, Unforgiven 2. I was like obsessed with it as a teenager, but I don't know what it is. I love that song. But I know that most people like Unforgiven 1, like the purists, so whatever. I don't know. I like Unforgiven 2, but that's like the only Metallica song I like. Someone asked about favorite songs and artists that are Christian, Protestant, and Catholic. I don't have a list right now since I'm folding laundry, but I would say that I do like Maher for Catholic songs. And then there's Jen Stanbro. I love her CD. I'll link it down below. I found out about her. So before I found Catholicism, like in Catholic resources and Catholic radio, I was listening to a ton of Protestant stuff. Like, I was listening to Protestant podcasters. I was reading Protestant books. Because they're all Christian. And even as a Catholic, like as a seeker, I started, like, they were just more prevalent, and they were more, I didn't even know there was such a thing as Catholic podcasters and stuff. Like Heather's channel, A Catholic Mom's Life, was like my first step into the Catholic, like, social media community. Like, I love the Protestants I listen to. Like, I really like Inspired to Action. And then there's another mom I really like, Heather McAdam. So if you guys are Protestants and you're watching this, you might know who these people are. But they really did help me during my mommy, like when Ryan was deployed. I listened to them a lot, and they were so helpful. And so I'm forever thankful for them. But now, like, having gone so much deeper into my faith, like being fed Catholic resources where, you know, they talk about the Rosary and Divine Mercy Chaplet, which I missed. But it is Divine Mercy Hour, so thank you, God, for your sacrifice and for saving us all from our sins and opening heaven. I like to just acknowledge the 3 o'clock hour. It's a really amazing thing to do every day, just to take that moment to remember God's sacrifice. And then on Fridays, just FYI, you are supposed to do some form of penance if you eat meat. So we don't have to abstain from meat on every Friday, but if you don't abstain from meat, you know, if you don't pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet, Fridays are a great day to, it's like 7 minutes, you guys. To give those 7 minutes to God, you could even attach intentions to it and make it a more like petition prayer rather than like a sacrifice. Though I heard today this really nice thing about how when we sit down, we pray the rosary without intention, or we pray the Divine Mercy Chaplet or some kind, or maybe the liturgy of the hours without an intention behind it, and it's just giving that time to God. That's a really beautiful sacrifice. That was kind of a cool thing to think about. I'm gonna go grab some more laundry, and then we will keep going with just a couple more questions. All right, I have Brian's military stuff to fold now. Most of the time I still just listen to like top Christian hits, and then because there's like a lot of songs on there I really like. One person asked me how I'm motivated to wake up and do early morning prayer. Now, maybe you watched my like morning routine video where I say I wake up at 5 a.m. Okay, let's be real. That was like an ideal. So that's like something that happens maybe once a week. I do try to wake up at 5 on Mondays if I can get to bed early enough, because I do think it's a great way to start my week. But it doesn't happen every day. So most days I get up between 6 and 6:30. And by that time, I may have 5 to 10 minutes free before Neil wakes up. Chloe sleeps until like 7:30 now, so, which is fine with me. But Neil does still wake up between like 6:15 and 6:30, I'd say, is most of the time that's when he wakes up. So he just knows that I do pray, or I do, spend that time with the liturgy every morning. So I would say what gets me up, though, is having my coffee ready beforehand. Like, if you set your coffee pot, if you're a coffee drinker, and have it timed to where you know the minute you open your eyes that your coffee is waiting for you, it makes a huge difference. Or if you're a tea drinker, get an electric kettle if you don't already have one, or if you have like the water tanks that have the automatic water, hot water, or like a hot shot in your kitchen, anything like that, and then set your tea out and your cup out the night before. So it's just waiting for you. It's just one less thing to have to think about. So I know every morning that my coffee is ready for me. And that makes a huge difference. And I know that my liturgy is waiting for me to read through and reflect on. And it's just a really nice thing. I do wake up every morning and just say thank you, God, for another day, because we never know if we're going to get that. The Resisting Happiness book that I mentioned the other day by Matthew Kelly talks a lot about this. I didn't realize, I don't know what I thought it was about. I thought, clearly from the video, I didn't know, because I thought it was about happiness versus joy, and kind of resisting the happiness that our society tells us we need, like the kind of artificial happiness. But no, it's actually about how we resist happiness ourselves through our actions. And the very first thing he talks about is when that alarm goes off, and we've set that alarm intentionally the night before because we have things to do, or we want to start a new routine, and the early morning is better for us to get things done or have time with God. And then we hit the snooze button, and he's like, you have already lost the first battle. Like I said, tie that devotion with something that you enjoy, whether it's a drink, or even like if you like eating donuts or like a pastry or something, you can make it special. You can have like a treat with your Bible time. We could just God gave us our senses for a reason. You can tag, you can associate that habit with something pleasant to the senses, so that it's just more motivating. And like this time of year is really nice because I get up and I turn the Christmas tree lights on, and it's just a very like lovely time. And I do want to find actually an album like some kind of music to play in the background while I'm reading that's not going to distract me. But that, you know, again, adds to it. If you guys have heard it all of like the hygge, Hygge, like the Swedish, I think it's Swedish, but that like movement to create this like warm and cozy environment, that's kind of what I'm trying to do when I do my morning prayer. Is I have like my drink, which is warm and soothing. Like I said, I want to try music. The lighting's nice and like low. Sometimes I'll light a candle before. And I have my cozy blanket on. And it's just this thing that and then I'm just kind of like either, you know, I read through the liturgy and I talk to God, and it's just this really beautiful kind of cozy moment with God. And so, you know, that's what it looks like for me. And like I said, it's just motivating enough to where I want to do it every morning. And now it's just become habit. Like if I, for some reason, don't read the liturgy, like it feels really weird. It feels like a really weird day if I haven't spent that time with God. And so anyway, that's what I do. So anyway, guys, I'm pretty much done with my laundry. I will cut this off because it is really long. I think this might be the only laundry chat I have. I have tried filming them before, and they always look dark or they were just kind of obnoxious. So I didn't do them, but one person did say they like it. So I thought, well, I do have laundry to fold. And I wanted to get a video out for you guys earlier than later. So anyway, so yeah, if you're new here, please subscribe. We would love to have you. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And then keep your eyes out for that day in a life, which should be coming out this week. I wanted to do some kind of like lighter content. I've been kind of talking heavy at you guys about Catholicism. So I'm starving. I've had like 2 cups of coffee and no food. So I'm gonna go eat something. I hope you guys have a blessed day. If you folded laundry with me, let me know. I think that's so fun to fold laundry with laundry chat. So I'm probably gonna leave this pretty long so that you guys can actually get your laundry done while you watch this. And you can just turn it off whenever you want. If you have any other questions for me that you want me to do in a future laundry chat, please be sure to put those in the description. God bless, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.